Today on the Winning with Shopify podcast.
When you're spending this much money on a product, what customers really care about is, will you be around there 3 years from now to help them when they need you?
I have background in blogging, so I've done
Nice.
a self-hosted WordPress blog before, and I've used WooCommerce selling e-products, e-digital products.
We save people money all the time on their filings. We're generally, we built our pricing to really scale with businesses as they grow. And
we were able to analyze 182 million discounts from last year. It's not just 5xing the usage, but also boosting your AOV significantly.
How on earth do you make a profit when 27 humans sitting in Ireland in the EU?
Just to give you an example, the first customer we ever sold, actually, they ended up coming to our house to have dinner, right? And,
Matt, take us away. Why do people need to build trust with their customers like you guys do in your business?
to get into your question, no matter how good your product is, no matter how high quality it is, no matter what value you bring, if your customers don't trust that it'll arrive, it'll be what they paid for, one, they won't buy from you. And if they do, and you fail to break that, or you fail to keep that trust, they'll never buy from you again. Now, this is something that in our specific industry, in our business case, is quite a bit more pronounced. We sell machinery. Usually the lowest our machine sell for is around $10,000. So that's something that you don't see an ad for that and then just click buy. Most of our customers do quite a bit of research. Given that our machinery does come from China, it's imported. Starting out, we learned very early on that not only were we just selling machines, but we were also selling trust and peace of mind. In this industry, and whether you're buying the highest quality name brand or the worst quality machine from China you can find, every machine breaks down eventually. It's not a matter of if, they do. And really, when you're spending this much money on a product, what customers really care about is, will you be around there 3 years from now to help them when they need you?
Amazing. And I'm going to jump in quickly there because you've covered about 5 things already that we could go off on some very serious and long tangents about. There's one in particular that I think, knowing who a lot of you guys listening at home are and the kind of businesses you're involved in, the kind of Shopify stores you run, I think there's a really big one here, Matt, that I want to touch on that I think a lot of brands miss out on, and it's after sales. It's almost like you guys started with the how are we going to still have them buying products, buying parts, etc. in 10, 20, 50 years, whatever that time frame is. And now let's build a business and some marketing and a product, the way you actually position the products, your trust, that kind of thing. How do you think brands should be looking? What would your advice be to brands about how they should be looking at the after sales before they've got the sale? Like how can people pre-plan for that?
I mean, it depends on the product, but for the most part, and I'd say in every business, the after sales is so much more important than making that first sale itself. I mean, going back into trust a little bit, your customers, when you build that base, they will essentially spawn more customers. I mean, in our industry specifically, like I mentioned, no one just clicks the first excavator they find online and buys it. Usually, there's months of research involved, making sure that your specs are there, that the machine will arrive when you need it, which is also quite an interesting question nowadays with some of the stuff going on with freight and shipping. But just to give you an example, the first customer we ever sold, actually, they ended up coming to our house to have dinner, right? And
I love this story. Yeah.
it's but this actually cleared up one of our biggest misconceptions when we started the business, because we thought, quite logically, that we were selling machines. But that first experience really showed us that, and that entire case was the customer didn't come there to take a look at the machine. He came there to take a look at us to make sure that we were first of all real.
Okay.
And that we were people that essentially would be there for him when the machine needed to be serviced. And depending on your use case, sometimes downtime on these kinds of machines can cost hundreds of to thousands of dollars if it's something that's a big priority for your business. So that's actually one of the biggest factors nowadays in that sense. I hope that answers your question.
Tell us, at the start of your journey, how do you start creating your first few products and get your first few customers in the door?
Right, that's a great question. So I've had some background in social media, and I leverage that a lot. And I also have digital ad marketing from my ex jobs at Bitcoin Magazine and Bitcoin Conference. So I've been able to go into all those platforms and see how that's set up. And I have background in blogging. So I've done a self-hosted WordPress blog before, and I've used WooCommerce selling e-products, e-digital products. So I have a vast background on all of this. Plus I went to college for computer information systems. And then I also went for business management, technology and innovation, and entrepreneurship. So I had a class that kind of helped us with a lot of that too.
Nice.
So a lot of things along my journey have led me there. And so a lot of my products are sourced overseas. So I hired a Fiverr person,
Nice.
designer.
Yeah, we love Fiverr. We
Yeah,
love it.
I actually designed my own logo in Canva, but I had the designer give me the actual like design files.
Yeah.
And then I got someone off of there. It was pretty affordable, like $200 to make a box for the jar. They designed the jar and then the mailer box. And then from there, I just sent it over to the manufacturer. And they sent me a sample first, and you want to go to a couple of different manufacturers to get samples just to make sure, because one of the jars was perfect. The other one was lopsided on the text, and it just wasn't
my
good
gosh.
quality. So
You think as well, they want your business long term. It's like, just do the basics, yeah?
Right.
Like, let's align things vertically and horizontally okay. Like,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
So how do you take it to market then? Like, how do you go from, I've created a product and I need
Yes.
to manufacture it, get it onto Shopify and actually sell this thing?
Yeah, so once you actually have the product, that's exciting because then you can take pictures of it.
Yep. Nice. Good start.
Yeah, and then you take that, you build a website. I started off with MailChimp for email, got that all embedded. Now I use Klaviyo. And I really leveraged Instagram, Twitter, word of mouth as well too. Leveraging my personal sites.
Yeah.
I'm kind of big on Twitter. I am in the Bitcoin influencer space since I worked at Bitcoin Magazine, the conference. A lot of my sales, like I mentioned to you, 10% of my sales is in Bitcoin.
So good. Yeah.
And so that's also a way I'm going to be leveraging in the future to loan against that. And as I grow and build my subscriptions, I'll be able to pay off the loan and keep my asset as that grows up in value.
TaxCloud has saved over £15 million in sales tax filing. Tell us what you guys do. How do you save that much money for businesses?
Yeah, so that was actually money that we saved just last year alone for businesses. And that's really through our relationship with the SST, which is the Streamlined Sales Tax Program. It's a program of 24 states here in the US that if you're filing through the SST program, you actually don't get charged for those filings. And so that's kind of one of our key differentiators. But we save people money all the time on their filings. We're generally... we built our pricing to really scale with businesses as they grow, and generally they're saving a lot of money, and in addition to getting peace of mind with their sales tax compliance.
Nice. And I think with sales tax, like we always joke about how much of like a dirty topic it is and people don't want to talk about it. But when someone's got a big scaling business and they're trying to create a successful operation, things like tax, HR, insurance, all these things, the quicker and easier you take care of them, the less stress it is to start building the business, isn't it? It's so sad when...
Yeah.
Tell us about that journey. Like, how do you become number one in the Shopify App Store?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what you just talked about around like our whole philosophy is we don't want sales tax to be more complex as you scale, and we definitely don't want it to slow you down. And so it is one of these things that nobody really wants to talk about. And coming to a show like this, sometimes it's not the thing people want to discuss. But the truth is, it's like, you want to get ahead of it before you have a problem, and you want to work with a provider that actually is going to take this off your plate. And that's really what we try to focus to do. On the Shopify side, like you mentioned, Shopify is great at checkout. They can handle kind of calculating your sales tax for you and a lot of that. What you really need if you're a growing Shopify brand is a partner to kind of handle everything else, to handle your registrations and actually working with the states, and to fully automate all of your filings with the states, because that's where people have issues. They get a notice in the mail. They didn't know they were supposed to be paying sales tax. We've talked to folks here who said, well, we have products that are exempt, which means they're not taxed in certain states. And so they're like, well, we don't worry about sales tax. Well, actually you do need to worry about sales
Yeah.
tax, because even though you're not collecting sales tax on those products, you still have to file in those states if you're over a certain threshold. And so
It's not something you want to get wrong, is it? Like the pain and frustration and loss of money as well. Getting something like sales tax filing wrong is it's a horrible place to be, and it can be so damaging for a business.
Yeah, and we might have spoke about this the last time I was on the show, but sales tax is one of these things that can get worse and worse and harder as everything else in your business is doing better and better and better.
Cable Bullet, they said it would have cost $40,000 if it wasn't for you guys. What is that? That's a scary number to a lot of stores. What does that $40,000 actually mean?
Yeah, so we hear this a lot. This is like a really common thing that happens is somebody works with, what we call one of the legacy providers. So there's certain tools that have been around forever in the sales tax space, and they won't tell them about things like the SST program, which I mentioned, right? Or maybe that provider isn't eligible to be part of that program. And that was certainly the case with Cable Bullet, where, they found out months later, years later, where they were paying tax in a bunch of states that if they had gotten connected with one of these programs, they wouldn't have had to, right? And so that's where that 40,000 starts to add up.
So that's 40,000 in tax they didn't need to pay, but were paying because they were filing wrong.
Well, no. In that situation, It's actually the tax they'll still always have to pay, but it's actually $40,000 that they paid their previous provider that they wouldn't have had to, which is even worse because you have to pay the sales tax of the states and the regions.
And now you're paying a premium to have someone file it for you when you don't need to.
Yeah, and the last thing you want, we don't want people paying us any more than they need to, and no provider should be charging for states and things that they don't need to, and you can run into that if you're not, a lot of providers you work with, they're not going to have the incentive to tell you about these things. And
if you want to 5x your discount code usage from your discount codes and promotions that you run, you need to listen to the rest of this episode. I'm going to jump straight over to you, Cara. How on earth can they 5x their discount code usage?
So it's all based on customizing email, and we have a lot to dive into. We were able to analyze 182 million discounts from last year. And one thing I'll add to that is it's not just 5xing the usage, but also boosting your AOV significantly from $93 to $144.
Which is an incredible uplift. And as a percentage as well, just doing some quick maths, that's 55, 60% uplift just in the usage of them. And I think with some of the reports we've had on the show in the past, and certainly some of the stuff I get sent and read, the first thing I always look for is what's the source? So, Cara, do you want to tell us what the source of all this data is as well?
Yeah. So at Siguno, we have our customers who are using our app last year, and we were able to pull 182 million discount codes. They're all from last year. So this isn't expired trends from 10 years ago or something like that. It's 182 million codes just from last year.
How do you balance giving enough of a discount that you get more sales, but not giving such a discount that you lose the average order value? And as I say, during sale, ROI needs to be higher, right, to make the same margin. Tell us more about what the report pulled out of AOV versus conversion rate uplift.
Yeah. So one thing I think you're getting at is what is the right, when it comes to percentage off, let's say, what's the right amount to offer? And for that, there was very clear data when it comes to AOV and redemption rate. We bucketed by 5%, starting at 5% and going up past 40%. And what we saw was that 20% was by far the best discount depth to go to. So 15%, we saw you had lower AOV and lower redemption rate than going up to 20%. But if you go up to 25%, the AOV and redemption rate was actually the same as being at 20%. So not worth going there. So definitely that
Really
came out as a highlight. 20% is a great place to start.
How have you guys been so successful in the wholesale space?
My gosh. So the businesses started in 1988, and up until COVID time, we were purely wholesale, manufacturing wholesale. And a lot of the other people on the management team around the table were saying we should be in e-commerce, we should be online. And I was the dinosaur saying, no, we're a manufacturer and a wholesaler. That's what we do. We will work with the best retailers, let them do the retailing, and we'll concentrate and be the best we can be at manufacturing. And then COVID happened, and all the retailers closed, etc., etc., etc. And we decided we need to go into e-commerce. That decision was made very, very quickly. And we made the decision, I think, in July, and we managed to get live November 2020. 20.
Wow.
And I suppose because we've been in wholesale for so long, the first thing we understood was we've got to have a level playing pitch. So we've got to respect our retail relationships and our retail partners. So that means you got to be sticking to a level playing pitch, recommended RRPs in all of the various territories that we operate in, and a little bit complex because we sell all over the world. So we weren't just worried about prices in Ireland or UK. We think about, okay, what do we retail at in Australia or United States or Europe? So really, it's I suppose trying to respect those already existing relationships with your B2B partners and channels. And then I suppose the second part of that then is when you're going into e-commerce and you're serious about it, as you'll know, there's a huge appetite for content and for good imagery. So we have to really up our spend on photography, but that's a benefit not just to our e-commerce business, but also it's done in such a way that it benefits our retail sort of wholesale partners also. So it's really just being aware of, although you're going into e-commerce, being aware of the wholesale business that's already there and respecting that, and trying not to do something in one channel that will damage the other channel. And so that's really the kind of main thing I would say.
But 27 people touching every garment. I asked your team this when we were there. How on earth do you make a profit when 27 humans sitting in Ireland in the EU, in a European country, are touching 27 garments without charging like 2,000 euros per item? It's a lot cheaper than 2,000 euros. It's not the cheapest. How do you afford to run a P&L with that level of quality and that level of human interaction?
It's very, very difficult. I mean, as you mentioned, we're doing it in the EU. We're doing it in Dublin, which is a very expensive city to live in and operate in. So I suppose one of the things we would do all the time, we're constantly looking to innovate and improve our production methods. You have to be all over them all the time and putting in new ERP systems, really trying to eliminate as much repetitive drudgery type work content that's involved, while still retaining, I suppose, the craft feel to the garments. And so we're constantly, once a year we go off to big machinery shows around the world, just looking at what are the new innovations, what are the latest improvements, should we have a system like that in our factory. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. And, in terms of when such a big part of your business is manufacturing, whether you sell it through e-commerce or through your retail partners, when you're manufacturing so much, you really need to be on top of it and all over it all the time.